A topic is about nucleotides. Nucleotides. These are the monomers of nucleic acid. Means this all nucleic acids they consist of many nucleotides which are bonded bonded together by a bonds. Okay, so here the nucleic acids you can call it them as the polynucleotides as they made up of many nucleotides. Okay, so these nucleotides are the building block of nucleic acids. Nucleotide is a basic building block of nucleic acid. So this RNA and DNA they are the polymers which is made up of long chain of nucleotides. And nucleotides it consists of a sugar molecule, and this sugar molecule it will be either like ribose in RNA or deoxyribose in DNA, and this sugar molecule it will be attached to a phosphate group and a nitrogen containing base. And coming to the bases which are used in DNA are adenine, cytosine, guanine and thymine, whereas in RNA, the base uracil take place of thymine. So these nucleotides are the units and the chemicals that are strung together to make the nucleic acids. Most notably the RNA and the DNA. And both of this RNA and DNA are long chains of repeating nucleotides. So there is an adenine, cytosine, guanine and thymine in DNA, and whereas in RNA there is the same three nucleotides as DNA, right? And then thymine is replaced with uracil. And the nucleotide is the basic building block of this molecule. And these are essentially assembled by cell one at a time, and they're strung together by the process of either replication or in the form of DNA or what we call transcription when you're making RNA. Let's see about the nucleoside versus nucleotides. Okay, so here nucleotide it should not be confused with nucleosides, which are also the 5-carbon sugar with a nitrogenous base. So here the nucleosides they do not have a phosphate group, and when a nucleoside is bound to a phosphate group it will yield a nucleotide. So nucleotide you can say that it also you can call it as like nucleoside monophosphate if in the case that if it with only with one phosphate group. Okay, and like nucleoside diphosphate when it is with 2 phosphate group, or nucleoside triphosphate when it is with 3 phosphate group. Depending on the pentose sugar component, the nucleoside it may be like a ribonucleoside or a deoxyribonucleoside. So when you see this ribonucleoside, it is a nucleoside with a ribose sugar component, you can say. And based on the nucleobase component, the ribonucleoside may be like adenosine, guanosine, cytidine, uridine, or 5-methyl uridine. Okay, whereas in the case of deoxyribose nucleoside is this nucleoside is a nucleoside with deoxyribose sugar component, right? So similarly, based on the nucleobase component, this deoxyribonucleoside it may be like deoxyadenosine, deoxyguanosine, deoxycytidine, deoxythymidine or deoxyuridine. Okay, and also depending on the nucleobase component, these nucleosides may be grouped into either double ring purine or the single ring pyrimidine. And when you see the classification of these nucleotides, so the fundamental nucleotides are divided into purines and pyrimidines, and this classification is based on the structure of nitrogenous base. Okay, so this purine bases, it will include adenine and quinine, while the pyrimidine bases are the thymine and cytosine and uracil. And in RNA, this uracil will be replaced by the thymine, and this thymine is produced by adding methyl to uracil. Okay, so in the nucleobases that make up the nucleic acid are used to distinguish this DNA from RNA molecule. In DNA, thymine is a complementary pair with adenine, whereas in RNA, uracil matches with adenine. So the pairing of nucleobases like cytosine and quinine and adenine and thymine, or adenine or uracil in RNA, are referred to as base complements. Coming to the types, so example of nucleotide with only one phosphate group, okay, like adenosine monophosphate, guanosine monophosphate, cytidine monophosphate, uridine monophosphate, or cyclic adenosine monophosphate, or cyclic guanosine monophosphate, cyclic cytidine monophosphate, cyclic uridine monophosphate, and deoxy adenosine monophosphate, deoxyguanosine monophosphate, deoxy cytidine monophosphate, deoxythymidine monophosphate. So these all are the nucleotides with only one phosphate group, whereas the nucleotide with two phosphate groups, adenosine diphosphate, guanosine diphosphate, cytidine diphosphate, uridine diphosphate, and deoxy adenosine diphosphate, deoxyguanosine diphosphate, deoxycytidine diphosphate, or deoxythymidine diphosphate. Okay, so then about the nucleotides with three phosphate groups are adenosine triphosphate, guanosine triphosphate, cytidine triphosphate, uridine triphosphate, and deoxyadenosine triphosphate, deoxyguanosine triphosphate, deoxycytidine triphosphate, deoxythymidine triphosphate. This all are the example of nucleotides with only three phosphate groups. Coming to the biological functions of nucleotide. So aside from serving as a precursor of nucleic acid, these nucleotides also serve as important cofactors in cellular signaling and metabolism. So these cofactors include like CoA, flavin adenine dinucleotide, that is FAD, flavin mononucleotide, adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP, and NADP, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. So the nucleoside triphosphates in particular, they carry the packets of chemical energy that are used in many cellular activities, demanding energy. Like example, amino acid synthesis or protein synthesis is there, cell division, or internal or intercellular movement, like that.